right, let's do this. Okay, we'll get started in a minute or two as we wait for people to sign in for our call today. That's funny. Okay. Let's see. Okay, friends. Hi. We'll get started to honor those of us who are showing up on time. Shana Tova. And this is a session that we're going to be doing on Yom Kippur to help us prepare spiritually for the day of Yom Kippur that's coming up in the next few days. Yom Kippur is a day of atonement. It's our day that we spend in contemplation of the ways that we can improve our lives so that we can not repeat the mistakes of the year past, and we can make a resolution to move forward into the year ahead in a way that we haven't done so far by learning from the mistakes that we've made, not in a judgmental way, but in a way of understanding that we can always improve. So we'll start today, as we usually do, with a session of meditation. We're going to meditate for 8 minutes, and I'll guide you through that process, and then we'll continue with a little bit of a lesson of what I think is a way for us to really benefit from the Yom Kippur holiday this year. And we'll practice some of the ideas. I'm going to talk about some ideas of what I think is important for us to focus on this year. And then we'll practice again a meditation that will enhance our ability to practice that lesson, not only while we practice the meditation, but when we move forward into our lives moving forward during the holiday and after the holiday and in every day of our lives. So let's sit, let's practice. We'll begin with a practice that will help us get centered and calm, and also help us to connect with the world around us. And I'm going to suggest that this practice actually is complementary to the practice that we'll practice afterward, and it'll help you in your day-to-day life. It's a practice you can do anywhere you are, really, and will help you to figure out where are you, be mindful, pay attention, and be connected with what's going on in your life. So I'm going to ring a bell, and as always, when we ring the bell, all we do is listen. That's what our job is to do, is to listen once the bell's rung, and just until you can't hear the sound of the bell anymore. And that's whether we're beginning the session of the meditation or whether they're ending the session, we're trying to just listen. So continuing with our sense of sound, with eyes either open and very kind of blurry, looking toward the ground or nowhere in particular, or eyes closed, recommended for many beginners. We'll listen. To the sounds in our environment, How far and wide can you hear? Really allowing yourself to be taken away, invested in the sounds that you hear, and giving gratitude, taking a moment to just be grateful that we can hear. What a blessing to hear good news, to hear the sounds of the birds and even cars driving down the road, or the hair. Maybe you're in a place that's warmer, you can hear the AC, the air conditioning, or the heater. Maybe you can hear even closer. Why don't you check to see if you can notice the sounds of your own body as you breathe. Maybe there's some noise as you adjust. We're constantly making noise. And with your eyes either open slightly or closed, you can notice your ability to detect light and the absence of light. If your eyes are open, and you may flicker your eyes open just a bit, you can notice the color, your ability to sense movement, detect it, giving a little bit of gratitude, moment of reflection on how lucky we are to be able to see. Many of us know people who cannot see. And if we see with the help of glasses, we can reflect on how grateful we are that we're able to afford and access this kind of technology. We fumble through life otherwise. You can close your eyes back if you're practicing with eyes closed. Moving on to our sense of smell. Can you smell something in the air? In your space, maybe you smell yourself. Maybe there's food being cooked or that has been cooked. Giving the little gratitude for our ability to smell. And taste in our mouth, taste. Smell and taste are so connected. Are there flavors in your mouth now? And how grateful we are that we can taste. What would life be like if we couldn't taste? I know people who have gone through cancer, radiation, and their sense of taste changes. How alarming it is to have flavor that you once loved and indulged in become putrid, become difficult to tolerate. So we're grateful for the taste, keeps us nourished. Maybe we want some help in liking things that are more healthy for us. We can put a wish in there, an intention. And now feeling our body, feeling gravity holding us, connecting us. The pressure of where our body meets the ground, the cushion, the couch, the chair, wherever you are. You can feel the pressure and the heat. You can feel the points of contact where your body connects with other parts of your body, your limbs. And give gratitude that we can feel that our skin is keeping us healthy, protected. And taking a few breaths to be grateful for all of our senses. Taking a deep breath and exhaling slow, long extension. Another deep breath. Slow, long exhale. Put a smile on your face. Give a little gratitude, a bow of gratitude. Thank you for the time. And give yourself a little stretch. Something that feels good. I'll be right back. Give me 10 seconds. Okay. We're back. Okay. Okay, so let's jump in. Hopefully you notice, we all notice, many people have told me they noticed that even after a short meditation in the beginning, and the reason I do those kinds of practices up front in our sessions is that oftentimes we're coming from different stressful environments or whatever's going on in our lives. And when we start to do the practice, we want to settle down. We want to come into the practice and be able to settle in and practice. And taking a few minutes, even though it's just 8 minutes, can really settle us down and change the way that we relate to the environment around us. And so we come in through the senses because that's one of the ways in which we can really settle down our system. And it gives us a long play. It gives us actually a really a long runway of yield, of fruit, of abundance from it. You practice just a little bit, a few minutes, and the rest of the day can actually be changed by the quality of the rest of the day can actually be changed by those just few minutes of practice. So we start that way because it feels good. It helps us to settle down, to connect. And now we feel better, and we can continue to learn. And the learning is actually enhanced by the fact that we're here, we're present, we've arrived. Of course, that takes time and practice, and we're doing it together. Okay, so I'm going to project a lesson that I want to share with us today, so that everybody who's watching on delay will be able to share this, will be able to see this. This is a reading. So many of you know that I've been studying with a Japanese school in Hawaii. They're in Hawaii, but they're all over the world actually. And you know that I've been learning with this Japanese school, comes out of Japan. I've been learning here, and this is one of the main sutras, the main texts of learning, of the main emphasis of text that they've chosen to surround the entire school upon, which is called the Lotus Sutra. And so this is one of the sections of the Lotus Sutra. There's three that they emphasize, the three jewels that they emphasize in the school. And I wanted to use this as a jump off point for what I think is the most important thing that we can take away from Yom Kippur this year. So I'll share with you. You can read it for yourself. I'll read it pretty quickly. This is a part of a poem that's translated and done by a modern edition of a poem in which we talk about the regarder of sounds, the Bodhisattva regarder of sounds, which is one of the figures that they have in the sutra. And I should say, just as background, the understanding of this school of thought, the one I'm learning in, the Risshō Kōsei Kai, is that there is one vehicle, that we are all part of one vehicle, and all of the world's traditions are pointing in the direction of one divine, one thing that is all of it together. It is we're all coming at it from different angles. It's like it's spokes of a wheel that are all belong to the same wheel, and we're all trying to point in the same direction. And this is what they see to be the essence of all of the spokes of the wheel coming together, which is which we'll read together. And I want to make some suggestions about how we spend our time, because I think time is one of the most essential things that we can emphasize during this high holidays, because of the fact that time is one of our most fleeting resources. Time and health, right? Time together, but time is the most. I think time is what is diminished by poor health, and that's what we lose if we have poor health, is we lose our time. So we're going to talk about time. We're also going to talk about sounds, because sound is the place that we started today. But so here it goes. And I want to also point out that this is an element that I think is missing in our tradition, in the Jewish tradition, that we don't really hear a lot about a divine feminine, a feminine divine. And we talked about this in the previous class. I think this is so critical. I think that it is indispensable. And the fact that we don't have it, I think we need to put it back in there. We need to put it in there. If it wasn't there before, we need to put it in there now. But here, notice the language here. The Bodhisattva regarder of sounds is the mind of deep compassion flowing through the world. Her deep compassion also flows through me. It is one, this mind of deep compassion. If someone brings me joy, that person is the Bodhisattva regarder of sounds. If a tree brings me comfort, that tree is definitely the Bodhisattva regarder of sounds. When I am someone who blames no one, I am the Bodhisattva regarder of sounds. And when you are someone who forgives me, you are the revered Bodhisattva regarder of sounds. Bodhisattva regarder of sounds is the mind of deep compassion flowing through the world, flowing through you and flowing through me. She is this one mind of deep compassion. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share And if you want, we can post this up. We'll post this reading up on the website with the recording of today's session, so that you can refer to it later if you'd like. This will be this is recorded right now currently, and you'll be able to go refer to it later if you want to prepare for on the day, or just come revisit the lesson. Okay, so compassionate mind and heart, compassionate mind. That's, I think, what we're digging towards when we think about what are we trying to do on this Yom Kippur, on this Day of Atonement. We're trying to find all the places in which we didn't live up to that. We didn't, in the time that we've had on this earth, we didn't live up to that. The compassion, the piece of us that we know when we're in our best element, when we're actually living the best life that we can, we know we become compassionate, we become understanding, we become loving, we become non-judgmental. So the question that I have here is, where does that live? And I think that with our tradition, we have so many readings and prayers, and we stand here and we sit there, and do I do it like this, or do I bow like that, or do I whatever, right? It's like so many rules. How do I eat? Do I eat this or do I not eat that? Do I wear a kippah? Do I not wear a kippah? How am I supposed to act? What are the rules? Tell me the rules. And all the rules are in here. They're right here, right in the head. And I think that what this passage reminds me of, and I think is actually really essential in our practice, is it's not there. Okay, our head knows certain things, and it's really good as a consultant, right? But it's not really good as the CEO. It's not really good as the CEO. It's very good as, like, can I consult with it to tell me how to be once I've already determined the pathway. But really, actually, I have to consult with something different. And I think modern science is showing us something interesting, which is that, yes, our neural pathways are up here, and we make executive decisions from here, and we think about stuff from here, and that fires up. But where is actually most of our neurological activity? It's actually in our gut. It's actually in our gut. Strange to say that, right? But when you start to calculate, when they calculate where most of the decision-making process is done for human beings, it actually happens from the gut. It happens from our cravings, our desires. If I want sugar, it's because I'm low on sugar. It's because my gut is saying not enough sugar. It's like the foods that I eat actually determine what goes on in my mind. It's an interesting thing. And what the state of my actual physical health will determine my ability to pay attention, to not pay attention, to focus, to be kind, to be edgy, to be whatever is going on. Actually happens, a lot more of it is happening in our gut, in our belly. Interestingly, as I've been in Hawaii, I was working with an energy healer, and she said to me that actually the concept in Hawaiian culture and wisdom is that your mind, the thing that makes decisions for you, that is actually in your belly, right at the center of your belly button. And that place is where we need to be paying attention to, I think, much more than what's going on inside of our head, because that's your gut. That's what tells you this is right, this is wrong, this is good, helpful for me, this is not so helpful for me. And if we're paying attention to only what's going on in our minds are very confusing things. The Maggid of Mezrich talks about that. The Bodhisattva talks about that. They talk about, if you were to follow your thoughts and just catalog your thoughts over the course of 24 hours, what you'd find is that that's a crazy person. And that's for everybody. That's not for me or you or any other person. It's every person. If you were to catalog their thoughts, you would find the thoughts don't connect to each other. There's no reason or rhyme or reason for why that we can discern for why one thought comes or another comes to replace, and what's the order of it, and how come they're so contradictory. It's kind of crazy. So we need to do a new training program. Is how do we train ourselves to really start to get to know what our gut says? How do we start to train ourselves to listen to the part of us that's like that? I think our tradition is begging of us to try to do to learn from is like your your instinct, your conscience, the part of you that goes, ooh, you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your stomach, ooh, I don't know, and then we'd even say it, I don't feel right about that. And we feel that. Where do we feel that? We feel that in our body. We feel that in our gut. We feel that sometimes in the frog in the throat or in the solar plexus. We feel that actually in our body. We don't feel that in our mind. And those are the pieces of us that we need to pay attention to even more. Okay, so the regarder of sounds, the mind of deep compassion. So it says it here. If a person brings me joy, the people around me, right? You should love others as you love yourself. You need to look at them and know that's the divine. That's what I love about this whole thing. This whole practice is basically saying almost exactly what we've been teaching for years now, which is everything that comes into your consciousness, everything that comes into my scope of view, I need to regard it as a friend. I need to regard it as something that's coming to teach me, that's a representative of the divine. So if somebody comes and brings me joy, and they say something good to me, or they treat me in a good way, or they just smile to me in the supermarket, or wherever I am, wherever I'm walking around. Now it's harder to see a smile, but you can tell when somebody's giving you a smile through their eyes, right? We're learning to learn to detect more subtlety. Know it as them. Look at them and think, and don't just think to yourself, take it as even a step beyond what we would have said in the Jewish tradition of love them as you love yourself. It's saying that is a representative, an emissary of the divine, of the regarder of sounds, whatever that means, right? Of her deep compassion as it flows through us. So you can recognize it in other people. That's one of the places where we can start to look for the divine, is in the people around us and how they make us feel. And you'll know it, right? How do you know you feel joyous? You feel it in your body. It's back to the feeling again, right? You feel somebody says something nice, it makes you feel good. And you're supposed to then in that moment also recognize, whoa, look at that person who just brought good into my life, into my world, into my mind, into my body. I can feel it. And because I can feel it, I need to recognize, oh, that's not them that are doing that. That's the divine. That's her compassion flowing through us. So it's an interesting piece here, because you'd think I'm going to tell you it's all about these people. It's not. I think that's the point of Yom Kippur, is to say everything is God and nothing but God. The people in your life, the circumstances. You can probably hear the roosters in the background on the farm that I'm on, and it's all of it. So recognize when something good comes into your life, that's her. That's the divine coming to visit. And I'm purposefully using the divine feminine here because I think that's missing in our text. And I think it's important for us to balance. Okay, now in nature, if a tree brings me comfort, that tree is definitely the Bodhisattva regarder of sound. So look around you, and whether you're in a city or you're in a more rural location, or we can start to look around and see the trees and the flowers and the plants. And if you've got an herb garden, I know that there's many of us who have plants around. I think it's not just reserved for trees. I think the point of this is to say, look around you. Look at this world, the natural beauty of it, and the things that we've built, and start to take in that nature and whatever it is that's coming in from outside of you in the world, and start to look at it as, whoa, that's her. That's the divine. That's her coming into my consciousness. It's definitely, it's even they even say here in this poem, it's definitely the Bodhisattva regarder of sounds, which is one other name for the divine that they're using here. Now, the next piece, I think, is less obvious. I think the other one is a little like, we know this, right? We go on a big hike, we go see the Niagara Falls, we go to somewhere that like the Grand Canyon, or we visit some place that's beautiful, and we have, it takes your breath away. It's kind of like unmistakable. If you're paying attention enough in life, those natural beauty pieces, when they come up, you're just, whoa, whew, thank God for that, right? So those are a little bit easier for us. But I think this is important to regard nature as part of us too, because there's another piece of this that I've been more interested in lately, which is, you know, had there not been trees and plants, this planet would not be habitable for human beings. It's that simple. If there weren't trees to convert the carbon dioxide into oxygen, and plants to go through the photosynthesis and translate those elements into some element that we can live in as human beings, we could not exist. That's it. So it's plain and simple. And we're learning more about that in terms of global warming, in terms of carbon emissions and things like that. Now we're paying more attention to it. But the truth is that when we treat nature as anything other than part of us, we're harming ourselves. We're diminishing ourselves. We're not understanding that fundamentally, we cannot separate nature from ourselves. We cannot separate what's out there from what's in here. We couldn't exist, literally couldn't exist, if those things weren't also there. So sometimes we get this illusion that we are here and nature is here, and it's our job to subdue the nature. And I'm not going to argue with the fact that we do need to have houses, we do need to protect ourselves from mosquitoes and things like that. We need to protect ourselves from the animals and who are predatory, and take care of ourselves. We do need to take care of ourselves. But I think that there's a distinction between that and feeling like a sense of entitlement to go and take from nature and just pillage it as if it's ours, to just do whatever you want with it. I think that there's a lack of respect for nature that we're living in, that we forget that we impact them. So we have to be thinking about what's my impact on this environment. And I think you can drive yourself crazy with this, so don't go too far into it. But you think to yourself, like, if there are simple things I can do in my life to make things a little bit better, can I switch my laundry detergent to be something that is not going to harm the environment? Can I switch the cleaning fluids that I use for my day-to-day cleanup to be something that actually is more sustainable? Can I look at my dishwasher detergent and I know that goes straight into the water supply? Like, can I look at the things that I use on a day-to-day basis and start to make upgrades in those? Can I use a little bit less water? Can I start to respect nature as a limited resource upon which my life relies? That's not separate from me. It's not to be abused. That's another piece of this, is how do I treat other people? How do I look at other people? How do I receive other people? And how do I relate to the environment around me? Those are two pieces that I think are important. And then I think the ending of this is spot on. I think that's what the whole day is about. And I'll stop talking soon. But the ending of this is, look within you. When I am someone who blames no one, I am Bodhisattva, regarder of sound. It says, like, how do I work to become the kind of person who looks out into the world and out of either a sense of gratitude or a sense of connection with all the things around me, I understand that I am but part of this entire thing, or I notice that the people around me I can tell that they are suffering just like I suffer. And so I give them compassion too. Or can I do that for myself too? right? When I am somebody who is able to live within that, within me, "Ve'ahavta l'orecha kamocha" is the phrase we've been using, and you shall love the other like you love yourself. And the rabbis, and I've commented on this, often say, yeah, you have to know how to love yourself in order to love other people. The limit to which you can love yourself is going to be the limit to which you can love other people. I don't know if that's totally true. I think sometimes we learn how to love ourselves by being loved. I think that's true. I think it can happen, or loving other people can teach us how to love ourselves. I think that it can be circular. I don't know where it starts or ends, but I think there is ultimately needs to be a weight on how do I treat myself? How do I meet myself in a mind of deep compassion? It's within me. And I think when we think about Yom Kippur, we think about, oh, God on the mountain, wants me to have a fast and to think about, all the things I've done wrong this year. And I think what this reading is teaching us, and I'll put it right back on the screen for a moment, it's teaching us actually, you know what, I'm not going to put it on the screen. I just changed my mind. It's teaching us compassion. Compassion. It's not about your fasting. It's not about your penitential. It's not about how many times you strike your chest. It's not about that. It's not about any of those things, the words you say or whatever, right? Those are all meant to be pointing back to compassion. They're meant to be helping you become a person who sees the divinity within all things, who sees that the people in your life are part of that and can become a bigger part of that as you pay attention to it. And the nature, the surroundings you're in can be part of that. Not only can they are part of that. And you are part of that. It's all part of the same thing. And so when we're doing this kind of living, that's how we know we've been honoring the divine. We know we're doing it right when we have a mind of deep compassion that we allow to flow through us, which is flowing through all of the world, which is flowing through you, which is flowing through me. She is one mind of deep compassion. It's all one thing. All of it is one thing. That's what we're striving for in this year. We're striving for the ability to start looking around us and seeing that we're all part of this one unfolding of compassion. And the better we are at detecting that, and we'll practice how to detect that, the better we are at detecting that through our gut, through our consciousness, the better we're going to be aligned, the more we'll understand from our feedback system, oh, this is the right way. Oh, that's not the right way. Oh, this is the right way. Oh, that feels wrong. Let's not do that. And we'll start to set down the things that feel wrong. We'll start to move towards the things that feel right. And in time, within a year, we'll look back and feel, yes, there's probably more improvement to go, but we're not working on the same struggles as we've always been. And that's because we've learned to live within ourselves. We've learned to recognize the blessing of the people around us, and we've learned to recognize the blessing of ourselves and of all of nature, and that we're all one part of one mind of compassion. Okay, so we'll practice meditation now. I'm off my teaching perch. Practice for 18 minutes. It's a good amount of minutes. And of course, I'll be guiding you, so you don't need to be, I mean, you may feel however you feel, but you don't need to be nervous if this is a long sit for you. And some people actually don't sit the entire time of the practice. I know that that's true. They actually get up and put me in their headphones, or do some dishes, or do some kind of chores around the house, sweeping or organizing or whatever. And I think that it's okay to do that for sure. The goal is just to remind yourself back again through the course of the time that you're going to be practicing, that you're going to be returning your attention over and over as you get lost in thoughts and distraction, that what we're really practicing is paying attention with compassion. I know, right? Earth shattering. Okay, let's start the timer. We'll be doing a body practice today. So we'll begin by encountering our senses. It's a great way to ground ourselves by listening. Seeing if our eyes are open. With our eyes closed, we can notice just the light. Smelling. Tasting. Feeling. And settling into your breath. Noticing the rising and falling. So we'll practice using our body as a tool, a blessing, a gift that we have that helps us encounter the world. We'll do that by paying attention to the places that draw our attention. So with eyes closed or open, as you wish, we'll notice how our body feels. You can leave your attention at your breath. And if something comes up in your attention, whether that be a sound, smell, a taste, sight, feeling, notice how your response is, your feeling is, and where you feel it. Oftentimes we carry our sense of stress in our shoulders, neck. Some of us carry in our back. solar plexus, belly, hips. Some of us feel it in our legs, somewhere maybe in our feet. So while paying attention to our breath, we're going to allow our attention to move to any part of our body that needs some compassion. And many times I instruct to put your hand over your heart when you're doing this kind of practice. When you need to generate a sense of compassion for yourself, you can put your hand over your heart, or for anybody really, and be able to kind of send loving compassion to the rest of your body. If you feel a sense of tightness in one or another part of your body, I want you to keep it, hold it in your attention, and send compassion. It's as if you are able to look from above at yourself, from outside of yourself, and tap into the compassion that's always there. And allow the compassion to reside within you. To be directed toward the part of you that needs that. And if at any point you feel that it's too much, you back off of it. Or you can open your eyes, you can take a deep breath, distract yourself by feeling other parts of your body that are more pleasurable or neutral. Go back to your breath practice. But if it feels like okay to be there, it feels okay to pay attention to some discomfort in your body, then stick with it and bring the compassion. Maybe that part of your body goes away, the attention fades, no longer needs your compassion. Come on back to your breath and open yourself again to the next sensation. You can even take the sensation of discomfort as if carrying it in your hands. Your imagination, you carry it down to the river. Imagine you're seated near a river that's flowing gently. You carry it into the river, wading into the water, feeling yourself stepping into the water and setting down the discomfort, allowing it to be swept away by the river of compassion. You'll do this with every sensation, every discomfort that arises in your consciousness. Recognize it as the divine. I'm going to give you some feedback, learning to tend to your own discomfort with compassion, either by soothing it internally or by carrying it over to the river of compassion and allowing it to be swept away. You can always come back to your breath, and of course, your attention will pull you away. Calmly taking another breath, checking in again with your body, your gut. Where do you feel that tension? For the next 5 minutes, recognizing that you and we all are part of this pure light of compassion. And all these other disruptions are just impurities, disruptions. Allowing ourselves to come back again over and over to our compassionate nature, flowing through you and me, flowing through the world, residing in her mind, the one mind of deep compassion. If there are feelings that have been with you this whole year, or maybe for many decades, or even your whole life, that you feel like are keeping you from enjoying this life, the precious time we have, I invite you to take them down to the river of compassion and feel yourself, imagine yourself taking them to the river. Bidding them farewell with compassion, blaming no one, releasing them, becoming the bearer of compassion. Feeling the compassion that flows through the world, that flows through the sound, that flows through you and me. One mind of deep compassion. We're putting a smile on our face, taking a deep breath. Breathe as you wish. Stretch if you like. Congratulate yourself for another day of practice, another practice session of recognizing our true inner self and being able to then take those practices and putting that back into the world. As we walk through, of course, we recognize that the practices that we do are only but a small part of our lives that we hope can have a big impact on the rest of our lives that we walk through. So we take this time to do something small because big things start small. And I hope that this Yom Kippur can be one for you of compassion, of understanding our relationship. May it be the blessing that we all receive to feel the great compassion of her deep compassion that flows through us, through the people in our lives, through our surroundings, the nature, and everything that encounters us, and from within ourselves, the lessons from inside that teach us how to be more compassionate. Maybe that be our blessing for this year, that we're able to connect with our body, our sense of what's going on around us as an indicator that teaches us what fills us up, what feels good, what feels more divine, and move more in that direction. And the parts of us and the things that come up for us that are taking us away from that make us feel, oh, that's not right, to move away from those things. And in time, if we keep moving away from the things that make us feel not so great and move towards the things that make us feel aligned and with compassion, every person I know, and I'll say for myself, every time I've done that with my own life, it's gotten better. And every one of my students who have practiced that have found that their lives have become edge to edge better. We'll be supporting you in how you practice this. In the next month, we're going to be launching a program that'll be a daily program that'll help us to learn how to recapture our time, to be mindful and meditative as we move through the world, and actually make sure that we're doing what we wish to do, not just setting an intention, but actually being supportive in a daily practice that helps us get there. I love you all. Shana Tova, Chatima Tova. May you be inscribed for a good life through the actions that you take, through the life that you live. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Take care, everybody.